So the next problem that we would be solving is pretty interesting. I'm sure many of you would have tried it. What I would do is I would start solving the problem and you guys check whether I'm doing it in the absolutely similar way as yours or not. Okay. So what's the difference with this particular problem? This function of the inequality is not a polynomial function. So what was the first step that we are supposed to do? We have to convert this algebraic function into a polynomial function. You might have started doing it in this way. I can write this as 1 by x greater than equal to 1 by x minus 1. That's a very simple step, right? Then you might have tried doing something like this. X minus 1 greater than equal to x. How? You must have cross multiplied this. We used to do it in equations, right? Had this been equal, we would have cross multiplied. And after that, you might have been confused what to do with this because x from both sides gets cancelled out. Now, let me tell you, this step of cross multiplication is absolutely wrong in inequality. Why? Cross multiplication is a multiplication. In the previous problem, we had seen that minus 3 or before that plus 3, you are removing it. Removing it means what? You are basically multiplying by 1, 3 or minus 1 by 3. And what was the implication? The sign of the inequality was changing if it was a negative. And I had said that you had to be absolutely sure what you are multiplying. Is it a positive number or a negative number? Here, the cross multiplication is same. You are basically multiplying something. But multiplying by what? Think. If you are cross multiplying, you are multiplying by a variable x or x minus 1. And for a variable, I do not know whether it's a positive number or a negative number. That means if there is a variable and you are not sure what's the sign of that variable, because I don't know, x can be anything. On the number line, x can be anything. X minus 1 can be anything. It can be positive, it can be negative. That means you cannot cross multiply. You cannot multiply by x or x minus 1 for an inequality because you do not know whether the sign would flip or not. Now the question comes, if I cannot cross multiply, how to convert this algebraic form into a polynomial form? Let's show you, okay? This is a very important problem. Be very careful. So 1 by x minus 1 by x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. That's the inequality we are solving. I can write this as x minus 1 minus x greater than or equal to 0. Correct? I can write this. You have to be comfortable with this step. This is a junior class step. So you have to be comfortable. Okay. In fact, I can write this as minus 1 by x into x minus 1 greater than or equal to 0 because this x gets cancelled out. I have a minus 1 at the numerator. That minus 1, for the minus 1 at the numerator, I am sure of its sign, whether it's positive or negative. It's a negative. So if I remove that minus 1 or if I make that minus 1 to plus 1, what should I do? I can write this as 1 by x into x minus 1 less than or equal to 0. I hope you understand this. I am removing the minus 1, changing it to 1. Basically, I am multiplying minus 1 on both sides. That means the sign flips. So 1 by x into x minus 1 is less than or equal to 0. Having said that, this form is still algebraic. It's not a polynomial form. how to convert it. Now think. Question. Can I multiply x square on both sides? Can I multiply x square on both sides for this inequality? See, x square is a positive number. It can never be negative. Since x square is a positive number, I can multiply both sides by x square. I can also multiply by x minus 1 whole square on both sides, because x minus 1 whole square is a positive number, right? Any square number is a positive number. That's why I can multiply by x minus 1 whole square on both sides. Now, remember, in an equation, if I multiply by a variable square, what I do is I am inserting extra roots into that particular equation. That problem arises. So you have to be a little careful. Here, that problem doesn't arise because of the denominator. Let me not explain, let me not get into that. Here, let me make a statement that you can multiply by x square on both sides in this particular case, x minus 1 whole square on both sides in this particular case without any problem, okay? So if I multiply by x square and x minus 1 whole square, on the left hand side, there is a change. On the right hand side, it was a 0, so there is no change. Now, I can cancel out one of the x and one of the x minus 1, right? Can I? Yes, you can. If so, I can say that x square by x is equal to x if x is not equal to 0. Also, x minus 1 whole square by x minus 1 is equal to x minus 1 if x is not equal to 1, okay? Remember this. Now, think, if x was 0 in the original equation, if x was 0, what would I have got? I would have got 1 by 0, which is a very peculiar kind of a number. 1 by 0 gives an infinity, okay? So we would avoid that in this kind of a problem. And hence, x is not equal to 0, x cannot be equal to 0, x cannot be equal to 1. We have to make that sure in the final equation, okay? So what I have got now? I have got x into x minus 1 less than equal to 0. This is an polynomial form, factorized polynomial form. So let's write it down in the number line. So what are the roots? 0 and 1. 0, 1. Now, would this be a dot or a circle, these roots? See, the inequality shows that it's a less than or equal to. So the equal sign is there in the inequality. So that means it would be a circle, right? No, because you have to keep in mind this portion. This shows that x is not equal to 0, x is not equal to 1. X cannot be 0, x cannot be 1. So that means it's a circle. Okay, this is an important point. Keep this in mind. After that, it becomes easy. This is the positive zone, this is the negative zone, this is the positive zone. And I have to find out the negative zone, right? So x is greater than 0, less than 1. The equality sign would not be there. And in the set form, I can write this as, this is the solution. This is actually a very, very important problem where a number of concepts have been discussed. Number one, you cannot cross multiply if it is a variable. You cannot. Don't cross multiply. Next, I had changed the sign by removing the -1. And third, I had multiplied by the square of the number at the denominator. so that the algebraic function become a polynomial function. That's a trick, okay? That's a problem-solving technique that I have used. We would be using these techniques more in the subsequent problems, okay? I hope this one is clear to you.